Time now to look at the business news. Kate Moody is with us in studio. Morning, Kate.
Hi, Eve.
Kate, we're going to start out with some much-needed good news for the European economy.
Exactly. That recovery that's been sort of brewing for several months now is finally taking hold in the Eurozone. That's according to the European Central Bank. The bank's president, Mario Draghi, upgraded the growth forecast to 1.5% for this year. That's instead of the previous 1% that had been predicted. 2016 outlook has also been hiked. Inflation is expected to stay low this year and accelerate sometime next year. The ECB wants inflation near or around 2%, which is why it's launching the stimulus program known as quantitative easing. Now, Draghi confirmed that will begin officially on Monday. That's when the bank will start buying Eurozone government bonds and other assets, about 60 billion euros a month for a total 1.1 trillion euros. And while Draghi said that a stronger global economy and low oil prices bode well for the Eurozone, he cautioned against complacency. Take a listen.
It is crucial that structural reforms be implemented swiftly, credibly, and effectively, as this will not only increase the future sustainable growth of the euro area, but also raise expectations of higher incomes and encourage firms to increase investments today, bringing forward the economic recovery.
Now, for the past 3 years or so, France has been painted as the sick man of Europe, recording almost no economic growth and holding the Eurozone back. But things are starting to look up now with a round of encouraging statistics. Charlotte Hawkins has the details.
Coming back to life. For the last few weeks, France's economic health has been improving. Several key indicators returning positive results. Company earnings, for one. Collective profits of France's top 40 companies went up by 33% in 2014, and they're forecast to do the same again this year. Car production has revved up again too, growing by 4% last year. That's 1.5 million more cars on the assembly line. More work means more jobs. Renault is planning to hire 1,000 extra people in 2015. Meanwhile, temporary work is on the up too, with 4.5% more contracts given out in the past year. And the good news has trickled down to households. Consumer spending went up 0.6% in January. Confidence is also following, reaching a 3-year high. One prominent factor behind this encouraging trend is the fall in the price of oil. Less spending at the pump has left people with more cash to splash elsewhere. And also playing a big role is the dropping value of the euro. This week it fell below $1.10 for the first time since 2003. Great for exporters.
Let's take a look now at how the markets are responding to all of that.
Yeah, the European markets have just started trading a few minutes ago. A mixed start there. Germany's economy ministry has just released strong industry data that says shows that the recovery is continuing there. The DAX has been boosted a little bit by that. Investors are still waiting to sort of take in all that information from the ECB yesterday. Asian markets were also mixed as they wrapped up the trading week. The Nikkei in Tokyo hit a new 15-year high, closing just below the 19,000 milestone. The yen falling there to about 120 to the dollar. Exporters like Nintendo, Honda and Panasonic leading the gains there. Investors will also be keeping an eye on a key jobs report due to be released in the U.S. later on. If it's strong enough, that could open the door to a rise in interest rates. Now, turning our attention to some of the day's other business headlines. In Brazil, a congressional probe into the corruption scandal at the state-run oil company Petrobras devolved into a shouting match on Thursday. Lawmakers accused the man leading the probe of seeking to manipulate the outcome. The Supreme Court is investigating 54 people, including members of the political elite, for their alleged role in a multi-billion-dollar scandal that includes the accusations of price-fixing, bribery, and political kickbacks. 31 American banks have passed a so-called stress test conducted by the Federal Reserve to see how they would cope in another economic crisis. The Fed said the largest U.S.-based banks are all strong enough to keep lending during a severe recession. That's the first time that's happened since the tests began in 2009. But some giants, including Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan Chase, had very low ratings. They'll face a second round of tests to determine if they can maintain those levels while still returning money to shareholders. And PSA Peugeot Citroen will return to France's benchmark CAC 40 index, replacing the SIM card maker Gemalto. That's a good sign for the struggling car maker, which was forced to take a €3 billion bailout from the French government and a Chinese state-controlled car maker last year. Peugeot hasn't been listed on the CAC 40 for 2.5 years. Its shares are trading up about 3% this morning on that news.
Good news for them. Well, let's end with some legal trouble for an American company that markets some of the country's most popular products.
Yeah, the All-Star Marketing Group is behind a lot of those infomercials that you see on late-night television in the U.S. Some of the products include the Snuggie, which was that blanket with arms that took America by storm a few years ago, as well as a lot of those other made-for-TV products. Now, the Federal Trade Commission has fined All-Star $8 million to settle charges that it deceived its customers by offering a 2-for-1 promotion, but then charging higher fees. For example, people who thought they were buying 2 of these perfect bacon bowls for $19.95 for less than $10 each, they were then charged more than $35. Prices actually boosted there. $7.5 million of that fine will go to create a fund for customer refunds. Ulster also promising to be more clear about its offers in the future, Eve.
Okay, good to know. Kate Moody there.
Only in
Business
America.
News. Thanks for that indeed.